Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to Toe Tags Metal Reviews, and today we're giving you guys a review of Splintered Light by Sindar. So we've listened to this album for a week over and over and over. Vile, what are your thoughts?
Alright, so yeah, listening to this album throughout the week was interesting. This is not my typical go-to style of metal, so I had to do this thing which I do a lot when we're reviewing albums that are not quite my cup of tea on this channel, and I have to turn my inner vile self-opinion off and try to judge it as objectively as I can. It's not easy to do, but I do my best. And I found while doing that this album was actually quite enjoyable. I feel like there's a lot on this album that is, good, positive. But I have issues, and I think these issues are objective issues. They're not just me griping, it's not just me saying, oh, I don't like it because I'm not into it. I think they're objective issues. So maybe I'll talk about a couple issues first, and then I'll go into the stuff that I liked. First and foremost, biggest glaring issue for me, and I hope the band takes this as constructive criticism because I know they're going to be watching. I feel like there's a lot of padding. And this is something we talked about through the first impressions. Throughout the week, I feel like there's a lot of padding. And by that, I mean there's certain whole tracks. Some tracks just feel like they don't belong because they sound too much like other tracks. An example of that. The second song, Angren, and the fourth song, The Horse Lords, have extremely similar vibes. They both have the same type of musical arrangement.
Yeah, they're both kind of a calm song with humming.
Yeah.
And you have Angren already, so you present this idea, whatever, with this interlude.
Yeah, and not bad.
Yeah, and that's fine, but then when you have the Horse Lords, it's kind of like the same idea, but now stretched into a 5-minute song.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really feel like you're really getting as much substance, right?
Yeah, it almost feels like two samples of the same song. And when you have a song that's got this humming or chanting through it instead of like actual lyrics, I don't mind that. That's cool. It's almost like an instrumental with the vocals as an instrument. That's cool. But it almost comes across as a demo song that's not quite complete. Like they just kind of winged the vocal sound in there for now to get like a melody going, and then they're gonna add lyrics later. I'm not quite sure why they made the decision to do that throughout the album, because I feel like it happened several times.
I think it goes to a certain degree. If you're gonna have a song that has lyrics and the humming, I think it's a cool mix.
That's fine.
But then if it's like, one song that's entirely humming, it kind of does feel that way.
Yeah. So that's just an example. There's other examples I can give, like there's a lot of really nice, calm acoustic parts, very well played, well performed acoustic guitar. I really like that. But then when you hear it 4 or 5 times, and they're sometimes just in sections, sometimes just the intro, it just feels a little overdone. And when you're redoing the same kind of sections, you might be playing different riffs or different, note patterns or whatever, but it feels the same. The feeling is the same, and I feel like a lot of that could have been cut out, and it would have been a much more refined piece of work from beginning to end.
Yeah, I felt similar in that sense, and one example for me of, the kind of padding I noticed with this album is in the track Master of Fate, which is the big 17-minute long track. I feel like if you listen to the song, you'll notice around the 12-minute mark, it feels very conclusive. You have all these crazy cool riffs, in the first chunk of the song, and then you get to that part and it feels like the song's totally ending.
Yep.
And then you feel like, okay, now it's finished, but then it keeps going for another 5 minutes. So I feel like if you shaved off those 5 minutes of that song, then that song would be super duper strong. Like that would be a great song. It just kind of has this chunk at the end that doesn't really need to be there.
Yeah.
And even then, when you get to the end of that, it ends with this really somber piano outro, which is really nice, and it would feel fitting as the end of the album, like you've been through so much. But then there's another interlude, or I guess outro track after that, and it doesn't really feel super necessary, especially when you have a super duper long song. You kind of want that to be like the end all of your album like that, right?
Yeah, kind of like your swan song.
Exactly.
Yeah, but with that said, I gotta say that having this album on in the background, it was fine, right? When it's just kind of coasting and you're kind of just vibing, doing whatever you're doing, and it's just playing in the background, you don't notice these things.
Yeah.
It's only when you really start to put intent, like focus on it, and start to really kind of, entertain yourself with the album, where you start to say, this is kind of dragging a little bit, this part, I kind of heard this part already, but in the background, it sounds okay. It's not bad.
Yeah, I agree.
So it's cool, just chill and relaxing type of music. But anyways, I think that's it for my gripes, really. I want to talk about some stuff that I really liked. So there was 2 tracks that I thought were, like, I call them my go-to tracks. So the tracks that I thought were the standout tracks. Number 1 is Durin's Bane. That's track number 5. This track, it kind of goes for a ride, which I'm cool with. It's got a harsh vocal in it, which is, again, one of my preferences. The vocals on this it sounded to me like Nathan Explosion, Dethklok, like almost exactly, minus maybe a little bit of a pitch, dynamic difference there, but very cool. I like that, so I think that's a compliment. But at about 2 minutes and 10 seconds of this song, at the 2 minute 10 second mark, they get into this riff groove that I find to be one of the raddest parts in this whole album. It's so chill. They just ride this riff out for a few bars. It's just really sounds, it has this ominous sound to it. And we were given permission to show you guys some clips, so I'm gonna play a little bit of that for you right now. So yeah, hopefully, I don't know if it gets the point across. Sometimes you gotta listen to the whole song, or at least a bigger section, to get the real feel for it. But when this part comes on, man, I just get into it, and I just let it ride, and it puts me in a mood, a good mood. Another song that I thought was really, really cool was The Fellowship. This song's got really good energy. Again, they have really great riffs, and I just love rock. They're just rocking out, and I feel that, and it makes me feel good listening to it. That song is awesome, and that's going on my playlist for sure.
Yeah, I was feeling really similar to that song as well. The riffing in that song is one of the most standout points of this entire album. And as a matter of fact, I'm gonna play for you a little bit of that song, and you'll see what I mean. So hopefully that gets the point across as to how awesome the riff is in that song. And that's that's the beginning too. Like, it starts out with, these nature sounds. You got like the water flowing and whatever. And then this riff starts and they just jam it out, and it's amazing. I love that riff every single time I've heard it. And that's one thing I was noticing with this album is that, you mentioned it's great as background music, and I agree. I think it's phenomenal as just putting it on the background as you're doing something, because what I kept noticing is that all the chill parts were just kind of going by, and all the great riffs kept popping out.
Yeah.
And that was certainly one of them.
Yeah.
I also really liked the first track a lot. Ainulin Dale. My apologies. It's a strange name, but one thing I really liked about that song is how much it really built up to a climax. You have so much building up, and then in the end, he lets out this big growl, and it just all breaks down. And I love that. I really love how you're really inching up to something, and then it just explodes. I was also liking Durin's Bane, The Fellowship. The Even Star kind of surprised me with how much I was really liking that song. It had a lot of a darker tone than the rest of the tracks, and when we listened to it in our first impressions, neither of us really liked it at all, and I think it's because we kind of burned out a little bit. This is a long album.
Yeah.
One of the longest we've done on this channel. And there's a lot of 9-minute songs. There's a lot of just stuff in this album. So by that point, perhaps we felt a little bit burned out.
Yep.
But over the week, you know, you can start it at any point of the album, right? So when I remember I put it on shuffle at one point, that song came on, and I'm listening thinking, wow, this song's great. What is this? The Even Star? What? This is good? What?
Even Star grew on me as well. It has good vibes. I mean, a lot of the album does have good vibes. But the outro of that song is the highlight of the song. And if I had to make a criticism there, I would say that section on the outro should have been kind of, you know, bookended. Maybe start the intro that way too. Have a middle section like that as well, and just kind of play with it a little more instead of having the whole song have this kind of tone and feel, and in the end just fucking go hard. It could have been maybe arranged a little better. It might have made the song more standout on our first impressions. But either way, that song did grow on me, I gotta say that for sure.
Yeah. I was also enjoying Master of Fate pretty much up to the 12-minute mark, because that's when, that to me felt like the biggest highlight of that song. Then afterwards, not as good. But overall, I think the album does have a lot of really cool ideas. I just feel like the tracks could have been organized in a way that kind of complements itself a little bit better. I feel like it kind of drags the energy down at some points where you don't really want it to, or what have you, but I also feel like some of the songs could be trimmed up a bit to be a little bit more concise, but for what they have, like, there is some really good ideas in the songs.
Alright, so let's rate Splintered Light.
Alright, I guess I'll go first. Like I said, I think this album does have some strong moments, but I feel like it's a bit plagued by some organizational issues and some padding. So it's, you know, it's kind of like a little bit middle of the pack for me. I'm going to give it a 5.5 because I think there is some strong moments, and if you fix a few of the issues, this album is really strong.
Cool, yeah. Like I said, I did enjoy this album, and I think there's a lot of potential here. As mentioned in the first impression, this is a two-piece band, independent, and there's a lot of creativity here. They utilize different things. There's flute, there's piano, there's, you know, different types of guitar riffs. You hear a lot of string bending, you hear tremolo picking, you hear, you know, different things are going on. So you know their brains are working and they're putting creativity into it. Blood, sweat, and tears. You can feel it when you listen to this album. But there's a lot of padding, and that's basically my biggest issue. So for the enjoyable parts that I did like, and for the creativity that is there, I'm gonna give it a 6.5. I think it's worth checking out. I think fans of Opeth probably would dig this. It definitely has a lot of Opeth-y vibes, I found.
Yeah, I noticed that a lot too.
Yeah, so I think it's worth checking out, even if you're maybe not even into this kind of music. Maybe it'll surprise you. You guys should definitely give Splintered Light a listen. And yeah, I think that's all I have to say about it.
And that's all I have to say too, guys. That's all we got for you today. Remember to check the album out. Thank you, Sindar, for coming out to us to let us check out your music. 5.5 from me, 6.5 from Vile Self, and that's all we got. Remember to like the video if you liked it, guys. Comment, tell us in the comments below, what did you think of this album? I'm TV Fish.
And I'm Vile Self.
And we'll see you guys later.